No one tells you that the worst part of being a cowboy is waking up. Not waking up late or waking up after a long rest, but waking up already broken. The sun is not even up yet, and your body feels like it has lived a full day of pain before. The day has begun. It is the American West in the 1870s. A man opens his eyes to cold air and hard ground. He lies on a thin bedroll spread over dirt, packed tight by years of hooves and boots. His blanket is rough and smells of smoke, sweat, and dust. His back aches from sleeping on the ground, and his neck feels stiff from using his saddle as a pillow. Above him, the sky stretches wide and empty. Pale, with the first hint of morning dot around him, other men begin to move. Shapes rise slowly in the dim light. These are cowboys, though they do not look like heroes. They move carefully, quietly, like men twice their age. Some cough from breathing dust all day. Some wince as they straighten sore legs. These men come from different places. Some were born free, some were once slaves. Some crossed borders, some crossed oceans. Out here, none of that matters. They all wear the same dirt and earn the same. Small pay. This cattle drive has already lasted 3 weeks. 2,000 longhorn cattle are being pushed north from Texas toward Abilene, Kansas. The railroad waits there, and so does their pay. If the weather stays calm and the herd does not panic, there are 3 more weeks to go. 3 more weeks of danger, hunger, and exhaustion. The smell of coffee cuts through the cold air. It is sharp and bitter, but it is the best smell in the world right now. Cookie, the camp cook, is already awake at the chuck wagon. He stirs a black pot over the fire, his face hard and unreadable. He is not kind, and no one expects him to be. But he feeds the crew, and that makes him important. The cowboy sits up slowly and reaches for his boots. Before putting them on, he shakes them hard. Scorpions and spiders crawl into boots during the night, drawn by warmth. A quick shake can mean the difference between a bad morning and a deadly bite. His boots are stiff but shaped perfectly to his feet. They were made for riding, not walking, and walking in them still hurts. He pulls on his hat, wide-brimmed and sun-faded. That hat is not decoration. Without it, the sun would peel the skin from his face. The trail boss calls out that it is time to move. His voice is rough and tired, shaped by years of shouting over wind and cattle. No one answers. Talking wastes energy. Breakfast is beans and bacon. It is always beans and bacon. The cowboy eats fast, squatting on the ground with a tin plate in his hands. The food is greasy and plain, but it is hot, and that is enough. He drinks his coffee slowly, feeling the warmth travel down into his chest. Soon, even this comfort will be gone. As the sun rises, camp disappears. Bedrolls are tied tight. Gear is packed. Horses are saddled. The cowboy checks his horse carefully, running his hands along its legs and hooves. This animal is everything. A broken horse means a dead cowboy. Out here, no one can survive on foot. He swings into the saddle, his body settling into a shape it knows too well. Years of riding have bent his legs and hardened his hands. His palms are cracked from rope burns and weather. Pain follows him everywhere now. He no longer thinks about it. It is just part of life. The herd comes into view, a massive wall of moving. Bodie's horns catching the early light. The longhorns are not calm animals. They are half wild and quick to panic. One loud noise, one flash of lightning, and the herd could turn into a stampede that crushes everything in its path. The cowboy takes his place along the side of the herd, riding flank, watching for strays as the cattle move. Dust rises into the air like a storm. He pulls his bandana over his mouth and nose, but it barely helps. Dust fills his eyes, his throat, his lungs. By the end of the day, he will taste it with every breath. The sun climbs higher, and the heat follows. Sweat soaks his shirt, then dries almost instantly. Water is limited, so he takes small sips from his canteen. Never enough to feel full. He's always afraid of running out. The hours drag on. Ride, watch. Chase a stray, turn it back, ride again. There is no excitement, no music, no cheering crowd. Just work that never seems to end. This is the real cowboy life. Boring, brutal, and unforgiving. By afternoon, his body feels empty and heavy. His thoughts drift to the night ahead. Another meal of beans, another cup of bitter coffee. A few hours of sleep, if he is lucky, before night watch begins. Tonight, he will ride in darkness, circling the herd, singing softly to keep them calm, while fighting sleep and fear. As the sun sinks low, painting the sky in deep red and gold, the herd finally slows. Camp will be made soon. The cowboy stays in the saddle a moment longer, eyes burning, muscles screaming, knowing tomorrow will be exactly the same. This is why it sucked to be a cowboy in the Wild West, and this is only the beginning. Night does not bring rest the way people imagine. When the sun disappears, the danger only changes shape. After dinner, when the beans are gone and the fire burns low, the herd settles into the grass. 2,000 longhorns breathe and shift in the darkness, their bodies pressed close together. This is when fear becomes quiet and dangerous. The cowboy lies back on his bedroll, boots kicked off but clothes still on. Removing clothes would waste time if trouble comes. He stares up at the stars, sharp and endless above him, the sky out. Here feels close, like it is watching. His body is exhausted, but sleep does not come easily. He knows he has night watch. A rough hand shakes his shoulder. It is time. He pushes himself upright, every muscle protesting. His joints feel stiff, like they have rusted in place. He pulls on his boots, grabs his coat, and reaches for his horse. The night air is cold now, cutting through sweat-soaked clothes. His breath fogs as he mounts up night watch. It's slow, quiet work. He rides in a wide circle around the herd, moving just fast enough to stay awake. He hums softly, a low, steady sound. The cattle recognize it. Sudden silence can spook them, and sudden noise can kill a man. The song does not matter, only the rhythm does. The darkness plays tricks on his eyes. Shapes shift at the edge of vision. Bushes look like men. Shadows look like moving cattle. His hand rests near his revolver, but he does not draw it. Firing a gun at night can turn calm cattle into a stampede of death. He listens instead. Every sound matters. Hours pass slowly. His back aches in the saddle. His legs feel numb, then sore again. He fights sleep with small movements, shifting his weight, clenching his jaw. Falling asleep out here could mean disaster. A spooked herd can crush a sleeping man before he ever wakes. A sudden sound breaks the stillness. A sharp snort, not from the herd, his heart jumps. He turns his horse slightly, eyes straining into the darkness. Another sound follows, softer now, then nothing. It could be a coyote. It could be a wild horse. Or it could be men trying to steal cattle under cover of night. He signals quietly to another rider nearby. They close distance without speaking, moving slow and careful. The herd remains calm. That is what matters most. After long minutes of tension, the sound does not return. Whatever it was has moved on. Relief comes slowly, never fully. When his watch finally ends, the eastern sky has begun to pale. He rides back to camp stiff and hollow, dismounting with care. Sleep comes fast this time, deep and heavy, but it does not last long. Morning always comes too soon. The next day is worse. Fatigue weighs on him like wet wool. He eats breakfast standing, barely tasting the food. Today, the trail boss says, They will cross a river. Rivers are feared more than storms. Water moves cattle in ways men cannot control. By midday, they reach it. Brown water flows wide and fast. The current pulls hard, and the bottom cannot be seen. The cowboy is assigned. Near the front, point riders go first. If they panic, the herd will follow. He tightens his saddle and urges his horse forward. Up. The animal hesitates at the water's edge, then steps in. Cold water climbs fast. Soon the horse is swimming, muscles working hard beneath him. The current pushes sideways, trying to take them downstream. He keeps his balance, leaning with the movement. Trusting his horse stop behind him, cattle enter the river. Horns rise above the water like drifting branches. Some animals panic, eyes wide, legs flailing. Cowboys shout and move, guiding, turning, rescuing when they can. One mistake here can drown a man. The cowboy reaches the far bank, soaked and shaking. He turns immediately, watching the rest of the crossing. Time stretches painfully as animal after animal fights the current. One steer disappears, swept away before anyone can reach it. No one speaks. Loss is expected. When the last cow climbs out, the tension finally breaks. No cheers, just quiet relief. They move the herd away from the river and make camp. The cowboy tends to his horse first, hands gentle despite his own exhaustion. That horse carried him through water that could have killed them both. That night, dinner tastes better than usual, not because the food has changed, but because they survived. Men speak more freely around the fire, sharing stories of past crossings. Each story ends the same way. Someone always gets hurt. Someone always dies. Days blur together after that. Dust, heat, cold nights, aching bodies. The land changes slowly as they move north. Grass thickens. Trees appear more often. The thought of Abilene begins to feel real. Then one morning, the mood shifts. Men move faster. Jokes appear where silence once lived. Someone says the town is only days away. The cowboy feels it in his chest, a mix of relief and worry. Town means pay. It also means choices. The final days are tense. The cattle sense change and grow nervous. Wagons appear. Fences appear. Sounds multiply. The cowboy stays sharp, forcing tired eyes to focus. One mistake now could ruin everything. Finally, the stockyards rise ahead. Tall fences, crowded pens, the smell of smoke and iron. The herd flows inside, guided by men who have not failed yet. When the last steer passes through the gate, the work is done. The trail boss shakes hands with the yard manager. Money will be paid soon. The cowboy sits in the saddle for a long moment, unsure how to feel. The drive is over. The pain remains. This is the part no one remembers, not the celebration, not the glory. Just a tired man, dust-covered, wondering what comes next after surviving something that already took everything he had. When the drive ends, the silence feels strange. There is no herd to watch, no dust rising in the distance, no trail boss shouting orders. The cowboy rides into Abilene with the others, surrounded by noise he is no longer used to. Wagons rattle. Past, men shout. A train whistle cuts through the air like a scream. After weeks of open land and quiet nights, the town feels crowded and sharp. The cattle are locked into the stockyards, their job finished. The cowboy's job is finished too. The trail boss tells the men where to meet for their pay. Until then, they are free. Free feels unfamiliar. He takes his horse to a livery stable and watches someone else lead it away. For weeks, that animal has been his constant companion. Handing over the reins feels like letting go of part of himself. Only after the horse is settled does he turn back toward town. The first thing he wants is water. Hot water. He pays for it. bath and lowers himself into the tub. The water darkens almost immediately as weeks of dirt and sweat leave his skin. His muscles loosen slowly, pain easing just enough to remind him how much it has been holding. For the first time in a long while, he feels clean. After the bath comes a haircut and shave. He barely recognizes the man in the mirror. Without the beard and dust, he looks younger. Less like a trail ghost and more like someone who belongs among people. He buys a clean shirt. The cloth feels soft and strange against his skin. When he collects his pay, the money feels light in his hand. $35. Enough to disappear quickly if he is not careful. Around him, other cowboys laugh and clap each other on the back. The danger is over. The rules of the trail no longer apply. That night, the saloons fill. Music spills into the street. Glasses clink, voices rise. The cowboy drinks, but not fast. He has seen too many men lose everything in one night. He listens more than he talks. Stories grow larger as they are told. River crossings become miracles. Close calls become legends. In a quiet moment, he steps outside. The night air is cooler here, but it does not feel like the open plains. Buildings block the stars. A light hides. The sky? He misses the quiet more than he expected. The next morning, he wakes in a real bed. It is soft, too soft. He does not sleep well. His body expects the ground. He eats a hot breakfast at a table using real plates. It should feel good. Instead, it feels temporary. Days pass. Some men head south to do it all again. Some stay for winter work. Some vanish into town and are never heard from again. The cowboy walks the streets, thinking. He reads a letter from home. He watches trains carry cattle east. The world is changing. Railroads are spreading. Barbed wire is cutting the land into pieces. The open range is shrinking. Men like him are becoming less needed. The work that nearly broke him is already fading into memory. He makes a choice. He does not return south. He rides out alone, heading toward new work, new land, and the same hard life. The trail is quieter now. No herd, no shouting. Just him and his horse beneath the open sky. That night, he makes camp by himself. He eats simply. He lies on the ground again, using his saddle as a pillow. Above him, the stars return, bright and endless. The aches are still there. The hunger will come again. The danger has not vanished. But as sleep takes him, he understands something clearly. Being a cowboy was never about freedom or glory. It was about endurance. About surviving boredom, pain, and fear day after day without breaking. This is why it sucked to be a cowboy in the Wild West. Not because of the danger, but because it demanded everything and promised almost nothing in return. And yet, for a brief moment in history, it was real.